Ableton Live is a digital audio workstation, or DAW. This software program allows you to do anything from recording audio and MIDI to signal processing and mixing. With Ableton, you can create files you need for teaching on MIDI.com. MIDI, which stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface, is a technology where instruments such as keyboards or other MIDI controllers connect to your computer via a USB or MIDI cable to trigger software instruments. When recording with a software instrument, pitch, velocity, and rhythm are all captured. All of these elements, including the instrument itself, can be edited in post-production. In Ableton Live, MIDI notes are recorded and housed in a MIDI clip. The clip can be cut, cropped, dragged, stretched, and transformed as you see fit. First, go to the top menu, click Create, then Insert MIDI Track. On the sidebar, click Instruments, then select the instrument of your choice. Here we'll select a grand piano from the Piano and Keys stock folder. Double-click on the piano to add it to the MIDI track. Make sure your track is armed to record by clicking the Record button on your track, and then pressing Record in the top toolbar. Lastly, record a performance using the MIDI keyboard. Quantizing a file is the process of time-aligning all of your notes to a specific tempo. When creating a lesson in Ableton Live, it's important to quantize the start and stop of the notes within the region you want to export. This will make your exercise appear correctly when creating notation, and give your student an accurate model for what to play. To quantize your MIDI clip, first double-click on it to zoom in. Then click and drag to select the notes you want to quantize. Right-click and select Quantize Settings from the menu. Here you can set whether you want to quantize the start and/or end of these notes. For the purpose of cleaning up your piano roll for your students, or exporting a file to create notation, we recommend that you quantize both the start and the end. In the same window, you could specify what rhythm your selection is primarily using to snap the notes to the grid in that rhythm. Here we're quantizing to a quarter note rhythm. Click OK to apply the settings. You may have noticed on the previous clip that the notes don't start until the second measure. To remove the first measure, drag the beginning of the MIDI clip to the first set of notes. This doesn't update the MIDI file, this only updates the MIDI clip, which is just a part of the MIDI file for the purposes of playback. To remove part of the MIDI clip from the underlying MIDI file, right-click on the clip and press Crop Clip. Now when we zoom into the MIDI clip, the notes start on the first measure. Let's say you need to extend your MIDI clip. Right now you'll notice if you try to extend the MIDI clip, the file loops over and over. This is because the loop setting is turned on for this MIDI clip. This extension of the MIDI clip does not affect the underlying MIDI file until you deselect the loop feature. To do this, first zoom in on the clip, then click on the loop button to deselect it. Now when we extend the duration of the MIDI clip, it creates extra measures that are added to the underlying MIDI file. To export a MIDI file, right-click on the MIDI clip and click Export MIDI Clip. Give it a name, click Save, and you're all done.